evening and welcome to Service to Humanity, a sponsored program of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. My name is Habiba Zakzok, your regular anchor. In our lineup, we have an exclusive interview with the National Coordinator of the National Cash Transfer Office. Our topic is the conditional cash transfer as we x-ray the initiative, the implementation, partners and the mandate of NCTO. It's a very insightful interview you won't want to miss. Also in the program, 2 more states now on the list of states where the cash grants for rural women have been flagged off. Please stay tuned for the rest of the program.
Across the 6 geopolitical zones.
They should use this money for what it is meant for, efficiently to take care of their family.
In 36 states and the FCT. Over 6.4 million of Nigerians poorest of the poor in about 1.3 million households receive conditional cash transfers of 5,000 naira monthly under the Household Upliftment Program of the federal government. Their joy knows no bound.
And the government very well because they did work for us.
Help me to do any other thing, my family.
Reducing absolute poverty, promoting shared prosperity through the Conditional Cash Transfer Initiative. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in service to humanity.
First on the program, news from the ministry, starting with a meeting of the Steering Committee on the Alternate School Program. Keep watching.
The Steering Committee for the Alternate School Program of the federal government has had its second meeting. The committee, which is co-chaired by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the Federal Ministry of Education, has a mandate to remove the barrier inhibiting children from accessing education. During the second meeting, which is to rectify the concept of the alternate school program, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, gave a brief on what the committee has been doing since its inauguration.
Collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education, we have spent the last few weeks in engagement with various stakeholders in a bid to refine and strengthen the ASP concept note towards successful implementation of this program. So it is upon this foundation that we can begin to erect necessary building blocks.
The minister urged stakeholders to remain committed and continue to work together to ensure that beneficiaries enjoy the program as designed.
However, we must all keep in mind that leadership and strategic direction remain critical to ensuring that this laudable concept can be brought to fruition. Thus, the significance of each of the members of the National Steering Committee in providing the necessary leadership for the success of the program cannot be overemphasized.
In his own remarks, the Minister of State for Education, Honorable Chukwuemeka Wajuba, stated that stakeholders have been working together towards the success of the alternate school program.
Past couple of days, weeks have been spent in bringing the concept notes and sharpening it as directed by Mr. President. That work has been concluded, and all of the participating agencies are all false with the presentation she had just made. So we're going to just proceed along those lines to make sure that everything works in tandem.
The alternate school program is designed to, among other things, equip children with the requisite skills to contribute to the economy. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, has said that over 3 million vulnerable persons have been earmarked to take the COVID-19 vaccine. She was speaking at the end of the weekly briefing of the Presidential Task Force (PTF) on COVID-19 on Monday, the 22nd of March 2021. Sadia Umar Farouk said the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs will be working with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency to reach vulnerable persons under its purview, which includes the elderly, persons living with disabilities, internally displaced persons, and the poor. The minister said the 3 million vulnerable persons needing vaccination against COVID-19 was obtained from the National Social Register and various agencies and parastatals under the ministry. She, however, added that proper sensitization on the risk and side effects will be carried out, while promising that the vulnerable groups will receive psychosocial support from social workers before the administration of these vaccines.
You are watching Service to Humanity. And before now, we just took news from the Management Diary. Coming up next are highlights from the flag-off of the cash distribution to rural women in Benue and Osun states, where over 6,000 women combined benefited from the one-off grant of 20,000 naira each. Let's take that story.
Such was the mood at the venue where the cash grant for rural women was flagged off in Osun State by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Celebrating the federal and state governments for their interventions in uplifting the poor and vulnerable. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, was represented by the Director, Finance and Account of the Ministry, Dr. Matthew Dada. In his speech on behalf of the Minister, he stated that thousands of people have benefited from the various social intervention programs. He added that with the creation of the Ministry, the programs have been restructured in ways that meets the needs of target beneficiaries.
These programs are being restructured and revamped to respond to peculiarities of different parts of the country, to ensure the right beneficiaries are targeted and to enhance impact on target beneficiaries.
He further said the one-off grant of 20,000 naira will be disbursed to about 3,270 beneficiaries across the 30 local government areas in Osun State. 5% of the total number of beneficiaries in the state are persons with disability.
The grant is expected to increase income and productivity and productive assets of target beneficiaries. It is our hope that the beneficiaries of this program will make good use of the grant to generally contribute towards improving their living standard.
The governor of Osun State, Isiaka Adegboyega Oyetola, was represented by the secretary to the state government, Prince Oluwole Oyebamiji, congratulated the beneficiaries of the rural grant scheme. He appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari and the minister Sadia Umar Farouk for their efforts in eradicating poverty in the country by empowering citizens to live their desired lives.
I thank President Muhammadu Buhari for his sustained commitment to combating poverty in our country. It is on record that the Buhari administration has the record of implementing the biggest and the most ambitious social protection programs in the history of our nation, Nigeria, with not less than 4 million citizens benefiting from different programs across the country. I must also express my appreciation to the leadership of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs under the able leadership of Hajia Sadia Farouk for the passion and commitment to the seamless implementation of these programs, which continue to impact numerous lives across the country.
The First Lady of Osun State, Mrs. Kafayat Oyetola, on her part, encouraged the women to start up various businesses with the money received. She appreciated the minister for all the support given to the women of Osun State.
We really appreciate the minister at all.
The wife of the governor, representative of the minister and other dignitaries then handed over the cash grant of 20,000 naira to the beneficiaries. The women were indeed grateful. They were visibly happy and promised to make use of the money to improve themselves while appreciating the efforts of the government in boosting their livelihoods.
We are here to benefit from the money that government is using to help women, and thank God that we are successful. We give thanks to the federal government and the Honorable Minister for extending their help to the people of Osun State.
Benue State, the food basket of the nation, was another destination that the team from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs visited with good tidings from the federal government. The team was led by the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry, Bashir Noura Alkali, representing the Minister. Wife of the Benue State Governor, Eunice Autumn, was their host.
And social development.
The welcome address at the occasion was delivered by the Benue State Commissioner of Women Affairs and Social Development, Honorable Tabitha Totongigi. She expressed gratitude to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for the support to rural women and the physically challenged. She also urged the women to make good use of the money given to them.
That is, the ministry is therefore happy that the cash grant program targets women at the rural areas, the very poor and vulnerable people. We have taken notice that women with disabilities have also been deliberately and intentionally captured on the cash grant scheme. We are very happy with that.
Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, the Permanent Secretary, Bashir Noura Alkali, said that since the creation of the ministry, it has impacted positively on the lives of millions of Nigerians, saying that the cash grant to rural women is one of the ways to uplift livelihoods. The minister added that with the support of the state governor and other stakeholders, the 2,000 beneficiaries will be on their way out of poverty to a better livelihood. She encouraged the women to use the grant given to them to improve their source of livelihoods.
To reduce poverty.
Wife of the governor of Benue State, in her address, said the social investment programs do not only help individuals and their families, they also contribute to economic growth.
And so by helping you to change your economic status, the nation will also benefit from your productivity. We should be happy with the efforts of the federal government towards the plight of our women and the efforts they are also making to build our women up economically.
She commended the federal government for its efforts in eradicating poverty in the country while requesting for more of the social investment programs in the state. Dr. Mrs. Eunice Autumn congratulated the beneficiaries and encouraged them not to look at the amount given to them, but to make use of it and make the state proud by using the money to change their economic status.
I urge you to use this money judiciously so that you can improve yourselves, improve your livelihoods and your economic well-being, and by extension, that of the states and our dear country.
Thereafter, the cash grants to rural women was officially flagged off. The women were very happy. They expressed gratitude to the government and promised to make use of the money in starting up various businesses.
And we also appreciate the government. I want to do restaurants business with this money. I'm very, very appreciate for this wonderful things that government did for us. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Give me for money. I want prime yam. Do business for prime yam. God bless Miss Autumn, mother, the minister.
It's service to humanity, and we just saw the flag off for the distribution of cash grants to rural women. Like I mentioned before the report, this initiative started last year. It is quite different from the conditional cash transfer, which has been on since 2016. Under this scheme, the poor and vulnerable get a monthly stipend of 5,000 naira each. This initiative under the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is managed and implemented by the National Cash Transfer Office. We had an interview with the acting national coordinator of NCTO, Mr. Jafar Ibrahim, who gave us an insight into how this initiative is being implemented across the country. Let's take that story in our next segment. Please stay tuned.
Wannan tallafin da aka saba baku daga Baba Buhari ko na wata 4 kenan 20,000. Allah ya yi albarka. Muhammad Buhari for you to use and take care of your family. And you will receive this support every other month.
Across the various states of the Federation, the Conditional Cash Transfer Initiative under the Household Upliftment Program of the federal government is being received and appreciated by beneficiaries.
I also thank the federal government for remembering someone like me.
I'm so happy.
Under this program, beneficiaries receive monthly stipends of 5,000 naira each as a poverty alleviation grant to, amongst many reasons, improve household consumption, reduce poverty and prevent vulnerable households from falling further down the poverty line while building their resilience to resist shocks.
NCTO Mind.
The acting national program coordinator at the National Cash Transfer Office, Mr. Ibrahim Jafar, explains further on the concept behind the initiative.
When this government came in with realizing the level of poverty in Nigeria, then this idea of reducing the poverty level, then issue of conditional cash transfer came up. And the program started since 2016 to uplift up to 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
When the conditional cash program started in 2017, it was under the Ministry of Budget and National Planning. However, with the creation of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, the National Cash Transfer Office and the Household Upliftment Programs were moved and placed under the purview of the ministry.
So the concept
this, Mr. Jafar says, has added to the impetus of the program.
Coming of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs under the leadership of Haja Sadia Umar Farouk, the supervision was fantastic. It was very efficient to see that the program is well, as it was conceptualized, the actual project manual was followed, and the delivery and supervision. With the efficient supervision of the ministry, we are making a lot of progress. That was why the federal government pegged that we must ensure that the register must reach 2 million. Initially, the concept was just about 200,000-300,000 people. But with the coming of the ministry, we are now getting to 2 million beneficiaries under our national beneficiary register now.
One question that Nigerians would like answered is how the beneficiaries are shortlisted. Mr. Jafar Ibrahim provides an insight into this and more.
The concept was to mine from the National Social Register, which is the government also established as part of the NAPS, that is National Social Safety Net Program. Then we mine, NCTO mined from the NSR to establish its own register, that is National Beneficiary Register. And that register, there are other considerations before somebody qualified to be in the NBR, which are set up, because this program, as I didn't mention, is funded by the government and the World Bank. So there are guidelines given to actually establish who is poor and vulnerable, who is qualified among the poor and vulnerable for this cash transfer.
Various stakeholders are involved in the successful implementation of the Conditional Cash Transfer Program, all working together towards one common goal of lifting more Nigerians out of poverty.
Yeah, as we are all aware, when we say funded by the federal government, it is the first that started the program before the coming of the World Bank. So the concept was developed and the World Bank was happy, so they now, government now collect loan to fund the program. We also have the other state governments that also sign MOU because the program is like bottom-up approach. The implementation is at state level. These poor and vulnerable people are in the states. So definitely the state government must be part of the major stakeholders in the program. We also have other civil society organizations that are also party to the report, and we also have other independent monitors that the World Bank also appointed, like NIGE and other organizations that are also stakeholders in this program.
Because of the impact that the CCT initiative has had, state governors from time to time ask for expansion of the program to include more beneficiaries. How is this issue being addressed?
There are things that it is high-level contact between the government and the World Bank. It all depends on the decision of the government. That, okay, we want refinance, we want add more finance as the impact is growing up. And you know, the target of the federal government of Nigeria is to uplift 100 million Nigerians. And as far as this program is concerned, this is one of the most perfectly structured program that government has ever come up with. So I'm quite sure with the impact we have, with the response from the state government, the response from the beneficiaries, and response from the World Bank of our activities, I'm quite sure we are very optimistic that there may be expansion.
The National Cash Transfer Office has offices both at the state and at local government levels to ensure that the cash transfer initiative is implemented to the letter. Their activities are not limited to the distribution of cash alone, as the program plan also has trainings and skills acquisition embedded.
As I collect this money, the money is for nutrition. So take care of our children. Also for children in school. And the most important of it all is for saving. It's for you to start small business.
Obviously not an easy task. Staff at NCTO and the various offices across the states have not relented. Jafar Ibrahim says patriotism, amongst other things, has kept them going.
When we came in, it was not easy for all of us. But over time, we realized that those poor and vulnerable people really need this kind of program. With the number of staff we have, the caliber, their professionalism, we realize that we can be there and that nothing should divert us from going there. We realized that the minister in particular was so much interested. So, I mean, she was like, I mean, looking at this program and say, yes, we need to make this thing work well. We need to improve on this thing. There is constant supervision, encouragement from the ministry side, and at the same time, the World Bank also realized that they need to push. So, because virtually we are supervised by the World Bank, all our activities are supervised by the World Bank. So, the energy is driven from us inside us. Because when you go to the field, you see these beneficiaries, you will draw more energy. You feel that I really need to go there and help these people.
We are appreciating the minister. She has deemed it fit to see our inside but not outside. Out of disability there is ability, out of ability there is creativity.
I'm happy and I thank the ministry for coming here to assist us, and especially with the food stuff. May God bless all your staff and God bless Nigeria.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in service to humanity. This is where we end this episode of the program for this week. It's been an enlightening half hour, and you will agree that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is doing its best to deliver on its vision to create sustainable and inclusive social systems that promote human dignity in Nigeria. Until I come your way again next week with more on the activities of the ministry, stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening.